Well, hey, congratulations for the short documentary, What Would Sophia Loren Do?
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much, Gig.
So
Did you
both of you
enjoy
must.
it?
Yes, I did. I did. I did. I was actually surprised it was short. I was expecting a full-length documentary. In fact, because Sophia Loren has such a long career. Why did you guys decided to make it like a short documentary rather than a full-length documentary?
Well, I
I'm
guess
gonna let Ross. I'll let you start with
yeah.
that.
At first we didn't even sort of have any real idea what this would start as or what this would be. At a certain point, Regina and I met, and we just hit it off right away. And Regina's brother had just passed away 6 months earlier, and I'd come off a couple of pretty intense films, and we just right away said, let's make a film about joy. We both wanted to go and just take this sadness and this difficulty, these difficulties in life, and turn it into some beauty. And so we didn't even know what we would be doing, and it started out as just filming Nancy's birthday party. I mean, we didn't know what this would be. We thought maybe it'd be home movie footage. Who knew? And one thing led to another, and we just sort of followed our noses, and we just followed what was happening, and we just let the film sort of tell us. I know it sounds a little pretentious, but tell us what it should be. And again, sort of not even when it came to time length, running time, and also when it came to content, we just kept sort of listening to the film. And we spent 3 years making a 33 minute film.
Right.
And it wasn't by design. It was just because that's the time it took.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously on and off, but it also allowed Nancy and I to get really close, and we really just have a rapport, and we're all like family now.
Yes.
Oh wow.
No, it's very true.
So then at which point did you know you had the documentary with Nancy and Sophia Loren? Because it sounded like you just stumbled onto it by chance.
You mean they're meeting each other?
No. I'm just talking about the topic itself.
The topic, the phrase, what would Sophia Loren do, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, at which point you actually basically decided going, wait a minute, we have a documentary right here.
Good.
Oh, well, it just shows you the power of intention, because this film is really born of just what Ross said. Well, first of all, we wanted to do something joyful. And two, it really came from that one sentence. And I don't know if you realize that the woman in the film is my mom.
I did, yes.
Okay, you do. Okay, so some people don't realize that, but so she is my mom, my Italian American mom. And by the way, thank you for watching the film. And so, it came from one story in particular. She's been saying these things to me as growing up for years. But I was trying to get her. She was trying to lose some weight and get healthier, and we wanted her to be healthier. And I said, Mom, at least try the gluten-free whole wheat pasta. Just try it. It doesn't taste so bad. And she just looked at me and she said, Regina, what would Sophia Loren do? And she just shut that down, And I just was belly laughing. I said, that is just so funny, and it just says so much. I realized she told me so much in one sentence. Talk about economy of scale, right? She said all she had to say to me with that one sentence. And I thought, that is the most sweetest, funny, clever, poignant, deep, profound sentence she could have ever said to me, right? More than a lecture would have done. And so anyway, I wound up taking that sentence and telling it to a couple of my colleagues in the business, and even at a meeting I was at in California with our agent at UTA, and they went crazy over it. And I said, my God, I really, I've been toying with the fact, because my mom is a very, you saw her. So she's just nutrient rich of stories and everything. And I said, I think I'm going to do this. We're going to do this. And because I feel like when you watch this movie, you've taken a supplement. You've got whatever your body was lacking, you got it. It's in there. B12, vitamin C, everything, it's in there. It's the best supplement you could possibly take. I think it's the best multivitamin around, is watching this film and getting a little dose of my mom. So anyway, we take it, and my colleague Geraldine Dreyfus, we looked at each other. We walked out of that meeting with everyone went crazy over the idea, and we just said, Ross, it's got to be Ross Kauffman. And so, and Ross and I had worked on another short before this called Still Plays with Trains, which I know this interview isn't about that movie, but that's also up for Academy consideration too. And it's about my husband, who has this extraordinary museum quality train layout that's 3,000 square feet. And we did a film about it. And that too was supposed to just be a little footage for grandkids. And it wound up being this amazing 17-minute short. And I highly recommend that too. But anyway, so we knew after that experience, because Ross brings a level of expertise. He sees things that, no one else sees. And I even knew that he would see things even in my mom that I wouldn't have captured the way he did. And sure enough, he did. And we were just so thankful that he was free to do the project, because as he said, I mean, this project took years. This was years in the making, and a lot of divine things unfolded along the way that made it possible. And so we landed with him meeting her, talking to her, taping her, and saying, my God, we have a film here. And then it shape shifted a couple times, right, Ross, before it landed where it did.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just following. It started out as possibly footage, and for Regina and her nieces and I mean nephews, and
yes,
and it just sort of, again, we just sort of listened to the film, and and also very clearly Nancy's a wonderful character, a wonderful person, and I mean, we took to each other, and I think one of the keys is that Regina and I knew each other before. We'd worked together before this film, and we had already developed a shorthand, yes. and so it really made sense. And I was really, again, not knowing what we would sort of discover, and just being open to the possibilities.
It sounds so random that someone would say, what would Sophia Loren do? Because so I'm assuming Nancy's a very big Sophia Loren fan. That's why she actually said that, right?
You're right, Gig. First of all, she is a fan of Sophia's, and has been since Sophia started in her films early, right? Because they are peers. Sophia is, just 30, she's 86, 85 or 86, and my mom is 83. So my mom's been watching her, right? Through her career, then through her having her children, her marriage, right? So, and then of course the most beautiful connect was their very similar Italian heritage. So that was also of great comfort and inspiration to my mom, because she's saying there is also a woman of my heritage. And my mom loved how she comported herself, how she weathered, love and loss, raising children. She knew that she had come from a self-made situation. She had no silver spoon given to her. She didn't even have a father. You saw that in the film. She grew up very poor, and she just, on her sheer talent and who she is as a human being, just made something of herself. So these were all qualities that my mom greatly admired. So it was those combinations. One, my mom loves cinema. She loves Italian cinema. She had Italian speaking parents from Italy. So of course she says in the film, that's what they watched. So my mom was exposed to that. And then to see someone of her same heritage, so beautiful, so poised, and so dignified and fun, and, all of these things, and beautiful. It just was, we can't be what we can't see. And she just liked that mirrored image, or even the inspiration too. We all have to be inspired, right? And so she was extremely inspiring to Nancy, but also Nancy admired her, because Nancy she's not starstruck about anybody, quite frankly. She's just not. Her values are, not about celebrity per se, but Sophia had the goods, and she was worthy of really respect and admiration. And so Nancy has just been enjoying that in her career, her whole life. And so within this one, so of course, when she had to give me sort of a metaphorical phrase, or she, instead of, she just handled that so perfectly, her American daughter sort of giving her a tip on, and and I just said, my God, that was just so genius. And it told me everything I had to know, it was just perfect, and it tickled me. And I thought, wow, there's a lot in a phrase. Words are powerful. And this one had such imagery connected to it, and people were reacting to it like crazy. And so that's when we knew, we could really, and I've always wanted to do a film about my mom, but about the wisdom, sort of this maternal feminine wisdom that comes from, it's ancestral, and just, who are we and why are we the way we are? Well, it comes from so many layers, right? So many layers in our lives. And some people have these layers and some people don't. And even for the ones who don't, they can be learned and shared. And that's the other reason why I wanted to make the film. And I knew Ross was the perfect person to do it, because it was about sharing a lot of who Nancy, my mom, who she is, and even Sophia, really sharing to the world, whoever gets the opportunity to watch it, to share a lot of these pearls of wisdom, and these, because it's, and a lot of the maternal guidance that really comes from people, primarily women of this ilk.
So you folks didn't have to convince Nancy at all to do this documentary, because a lot of people seem to be nervous, and Regina seems to come from a family who's very outgoing and talkative in their own way. So that's great.
Yeah.
She had to be ready though for it. She had to be ready because, the loss of a child, and you can see in the film, as fun and as joyful as it is, the film is very deep and poignant, and she's sharing very intimate things, and they're really, things that many people are experiencing too in various forms in their own lives. And it had to, and quite frankly, it was really, it had to be the right director, and that's Ross, because if she didn't connect and trust and really love the person on the other end, because she adores Ross and respects him and really loves him, we would have gotten a very different, sweet and lovely, but we wouldn't have gotten what we got, because she really then started to talk about, well, this and then that. And, Ross asked the right questions, and she felt comfortable enough. And, and then little by little, she was like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll participate in this. I'll participate. But it was a process.
Yeah. And then she shared things with us that we had no idea about. Robin, my producer, Robin Honan, who also is wonderful, as Regina says. We've been adopted. Robin and I have been adopted by Nancy.
Oh, Nancy loves the two of you.
But she would, little by little, she would tell us things that we had no idea about, and really, things about her life that we didn't push her to share these things. She gave them freely at a certain point, and it took a couple of years before she did that, and it wasn't by design. It just unfolded naturally.
That's right.
Well, I'm assuming it took 3 years because probably you guys went through extensive research on Sophia Loren, right? Is that what's going on? It's not 3 years of footage.
No, I mean, this is 3 years of, a shoot here, a shoot there, but, I take a lot of, I like to take time to edit if I have that time. And, we would edit a little bit. We would edit, and we had great editors, a woman named Keiko DeGucci and Patience Porter. And then our executive producer, Geraldine White-Dreyfus, and Robin. And so we all sort of worked on and off on it for 3 years. It certainly wasn't 3 years worth of, footage and full-time work on it. But that's part of the process, is letting it unfold and not pushing it. And a lot of people say, Ross, when are you going to finish this damn film? and I say it to myself.
And people were waiting for it, right, Ross?
Yeah.
I mean, you ever had so many people say, give me that film, I want that film,
Yeah.
I've never had quite that experience. My mother aside, I just have never had the energetic field force of this film. But it did take the years to you're right, to marinate. This film was
That's right.
to marinate.
Yeah, and just we let it naturally unfold.
You know, it's funny is because your timing couldn't be more perfect, right? Because first of all, you got it on Netflix, which is a huge deal, but you also got it on the timing where Sophia Loren, there's buzz around her for possibly for award season for her current movie right now. I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
Go ahead, Regina.
Go ahead, Ross.
No, I was actually going to jump ahead, and we can go back to this. But third, and maybe most important, in this particular time in our lives with COVID and with everything going on politically, for me, the most important thing is we have a film about not only we have a film about resilience and strength and beauty and joy. And joy is the key.
That's
right now, we all need some joy. And this film, I won't say it saved me in the last, number of months, but it really helped me get through things.
Yeah, me too, Ross. Me too.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. And that's, Gig, you're bringing up, listen, everything in life is timing, right? Right. We what do they say? People plan and God laughs. Like everything is timing. And we had no idea. First, we didn't even know if this was going to become a film. We still were just, finding where's the narrative, how do we weave this in? And then you're right. Sophia makes this incredible film, The Life Ahead, right? Which could very well be her, her swan song professionally in terms of her final film. And she does a beautiful job. She manages to film it, thank goodness, before COVID, right? She got that summer in Italy right before this. Then it's supposed to launch during Cannes. It was supposed to launch, in spring, and that gets, of course, postponed because of COVID. So it pushed her launch out forward. We, in that time, are like, wow, we do have a film here. And Rawson is reviewing. He said, we have this, and he's weaving together an incredible narrative. And I'm saying, oh my God, Ross, this is a great film.
It started to come together. It started to come together in the summer.
That's exactly right. I mean, this didn't really come to this thing, like the last lap of the marathon is in the last month, the film sort of gelled. I mean, it's unbelievable. I always say it's part of a divine constellation of events and people. This film couldn't have happened otherwise. And so then our film starts to gel and come together as her film is delayed. And then when her film is released, ours comes together and they get launched out of the gate. Hers was a little bit before ours. We didn't even think ours was at one point not going to be launched until next year, but it all sort of came together and they go out into the world at the same time. I mean, what are the odds of that? You can't even plan that. You can't, this is, and like, during a pandemic to boot. So the whole thing is, we're still scratching our heads a little bit, Gig, like, wow, how did this all come to be? But it did in a beautiful way. And, of course, I don't think there are no coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences, right? Anyway, they say that coincidences are really God's wink. God's winking when we experience a coincidence. But so it came out at the same time, and it's really been beautiful because Nancy's film, in a way, is such a natural and organic cheerleading of Sophia and her film. And it's just beautiful the way it works out that way. And because it also gives a glimpse of Sophia in a very humane, like this is the person behind the movie star way. It's really quite beautiful. And the other thing that Nancy's film does, I don't know if you did this, Ross, but I went back and watched a lot of her films and I ordered them off of Amazon. And I have had so many friends tell me, oh my God, we went back and watched Two Women. They wanted to see the film that she won the Academy Award in. So it's interesting how energetically they're both affecting each other, the two films. There is a dance going on. It's very, very beautiful and totally unplanned. I mean, there's no way anyone could have planned it. It's not possible.
So with so much footage of Sophia Loren from her past movies in there, how did you manage to get permission for something like this?
That's a good question.
Ross
That's a really
question.
great question for our producer. I mean, listen, we really culled through a lot of films, but we really decided to go with, her most seminal films, like Two Women, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. What's the third one? Oh, it escapes me. But
Marriage Italian Style.
Marriage Italian Style, which, oh my God, I just love all three of
I
those.
do too.
And a lot of what we did in the film, or what we did was tried to figure out, Nancy was talking about the films, and she was really referring to the films almost in an educational way. And so, we used a bit of fair use, but we worked really hard to get oh my God, I mean, the archival that we went through.
Right. Laborious.
The Dick Cavett footage and it's our editors loved going through it, but yeah, it's always a challenge when you're working with archival.
Yeah. And again, it took, remember too, Gig, like Ross alluded to, this little gem, this 30-minute gem, or 32 minutes, however, took, years to make. It was, right. It's been brewing it was percolating for quite a while.
One of the best scenes out of the film that you guys did was the poster scene. I actually love the poster flips where you actually went through that. That was very memorable there because I have
that was our editor Keiko. She's amazing. One of our editors, Keiko. When she did that, I was like,
genius. That girl was genius.
I also just want go ahead. Yeah.
No, go, Ross. All
I was gonna say was, again, like I didn't really think these two stories would come together like they did. And so as we went through the edit, I just was so excited when we were discovering this stuff. And so the two stories were coming together, and I didn't even know if we would use the Sophia interview. I'm like, wait, how are we going to do this? It seems natural now, but I mean, I was scared. I'm not scared. I mean, I'm always scared when I'm making movies, but
yeah.
And then I just want to go back to one other thing quickly, because just the phrase, what would Sophia Loren do? I was very nervous that we wouldn't find the depth. I was nervous that, we're making this cute little film, and I was nervous. I was nervous that we wouldn't get there, but because we took the time, and Nancy really, Nancy gave it to us. So, I'm so sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just commenting that poster thing was terrific. That must have took some trial and tribulations to find all those posters, to come up with the idea to flip it on screen and all this kind of stuff.
I love giving honestly.
You're right, King.
Keiko DeGucci. I will give her all the credit for that. Absolutely, and for more. A lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my commendations to her when you guys see her on
sure.
that one. Now, of course, we have to talk about Sophia Loren, because surprisingly, the one thing I didn't expect was you guys to actually have Sophia in this film. So how did you manage to actually pull that off? Was it just a simple phone call for such a busy actress, or did it took a little bit of convincing?
It's a great question.
It is a great question. You were surprised, Gig, when they met? Were you surprised?
I was actually surprised. I honestly, when I heard about the documentary, I actually thought it was just your mother, and that was it. And Sophia Loren was. Yeah. Was apparently open to being in a part of her own documentary.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing that it happens that they get to meet. And again, it was the confluence of a lot of moving parts that, could have happened, could have not have happened. It was one of those things we didn't plan for it to happen. You can't, because you can't just pick up the phone. Even if you're someone in the industry, you can't just do that. Did it help that I'm in the storytelling business and her son is in the movie business? Yes, of course it did. Eduardo, and he's one of the most lovely human beings. Ross and I adore him, and we did have a chance to meet and talk and tell him the story. But even at that, you know, he could have at any point said, "Oh, that's so sweet," and my mom, you know, it's such a great story, and it might never have still gone that way, you know. And we didn't say, "Can we, you know, make an arrangement?" It didn't, you know, it didn't happen from a flat out request either. You just don't do that. And but it was, like I said, a confluence of things. And my mom had met her once at a black tie event through Matilda Cuomo, Governor Cuomo's widow, you know, because Maria Cuomo is her daughter, you know, the daughter, and I are we've made multiple films together, The Invisible War, The Hunting Ground, On the Record, you know, we've done quite a few films together. And so, and we're both, you know, we both have Italian Italian moms and Italian grandmothers. So we are constantly comparing notes and laughing. Or she'll say something and do something. I'm like, oh my God, Maria, it's like we were, you know, we were born in the same family, raised under the same roof. And so I said, you know, I have the sweetest story to tell you. And I told her the phrase, and we were cracking up laughing. She's like, oh, I know. She said, well, my mom's very good friends with Sophia, and they have been for years with my parents. So anyway, that was the first little meeting like that. But, you know, nothing, just a sweet meeting, and they got to meet. It was adorable. And then through the Academy Museum being renovated, and I'm on the board of the Academy Museum, and I got wind of the story about Renzo Piano, the wonderful Italian architect. And one of the ways that they got him to participate, being the architect of this project, because he's so busy, he's in his 80s and he's Italian, was that they sent him this gorgeous picture of young Sophia leaning up against this pillar, you know, and they said, you know, won't you please come? And, you know, and they lured him in through Italian cinema and Sophia Loren. And he said, you know what? Yes, I'll do the project. And it was so beautiful. And then when the museum was sort of being constructed and designed, they did an intimate little hard hat, you know, viewing of it. And Sophia, of course, was invited. And I brought my mom too. I brought my mom. They were visiting me in California. And so with Eduardo, I said, you know, it'd be really fun. She's in from Geneva and she's in Los Angeles. How about let's do a lunch after the viewing of the museum. And she was getting an award there and everything. Let's do a fun lunch and have these two Italian moms meet. And he said, oh my God, that would be fantastic. And that's the scene that you're looking at. They met at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures and Sciences. So it just happened organically like that. And it was really that sweet. And
Regina, tell them about Sophia calling your mom.
Oh, okay. Okay. So right in between this, you're right. So that's why I'm saying this was years so she had met her at the awards dinner. They met and they talked. And then I do these birthday parties for my mom every year. And one year we did a Sophia Loren theme and we made these aprons, and Eduardo sent her the apron and the care package we did. He sent it to Geneva. And he sent me a photo of Sophia wearing the apron when she was cooking Christmas dinner and all this sweet stuff. And then, you know, as you know from the film, my brother passed away. It was a tragic accident. And so when Sophia learned that my mom had lost her son like that, she said to Eduardo, I want to speak to Nancy, to Vincenza. And so Eduardo contacted me and said, you know, my mom wants to talk to your mom. You know, would that be okay? Would your mom? And I said, yeah, my mom would really appreciate that. And we coordinated the call, and they had like a 30-minute call, all in Italian. No one knows what they talked about. It was mother to mother. Everyone gave them their privacy. We didn't record it. We didn't do anything. They just spoke mother to mother. And so they've had real sweet connects along the way. So by the time it landed at the Renzo Piano renovation of the Academy Museum, you know, everybody was ready, like Ross said earlier, everybody was ready to have some joy and break some bread and just giggle a little bit because, you know, so much had transpired in both their lives, you know. And the beauty of all of this is that everything happened, including Sophia filming her film, The Life Ahead, the Academy Museum launching getting their renovations done, and us having this little lunch, and then including Ross being able to film my mom. All of this, mind you, was done right before the pandemic slams the world. Right. So that was another thing that was just a miracle, that all of that had been, the groundwork for all of this had already been laid before that pandemic hit. And then again, and like I said, it caused some delays, and it caused them both to launch at the same time. So a lot of well, I just don't know how else to describe it, but without saying there's a lot of divine, you know, interaction and layers here, really, truly, because you can't, there is no planning something like this. At least I don't know of it. Can't really plan it.
Well, it is such a joy to watch your film. And I'm very certain Sophia Loren loved the film. Your mom
She
Nancy
loved it.
loved the film.
She loved
I
it.
love the film.
Thank
And
you.
I want to thank you both for speaking with me, because this is such a joyful conversation. So, hey, thank you once again, and congratulations on What Would Sophia Loren Do?
Thank you. So gracious and kind. And we're so happy that you enjoyed it. That means the most to us. We want to bring, I will say this, Ross and I were on a mission to bring something joyful to as many people as we can.
And I do certainly recommend it. So until next time, all right, we should do this again. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gig.
Take care.
Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
Bye.